I call to order the regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission. It's Thursday, November 7th, 2024 at 6 p.m. I'm going to open with the invocation and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So if you would, please stand. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, again, I thank you for the many blessings and gifts that you bestow upon us every day. We have many things to be thankful here tonight. We're going to be installing new commissioners and a new mayor here tonight. And we appreciate the things that you have guided us to and brought us to. And we ask for your wisdom and guidance as we continue to move forward with this new Board of Commissioners and new mayor. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, folks, thank y'all all for coming. It's good to see everyone in the audience tonight. And our agenda will waver just a little bit in the beginning. As I just mentioned, we have new commissioners that will be installed here in just a few minutes, and we have a new mayor that will be installed here. And to explain that, first of all, we'll have our mayor installed, and then after the mayor is sworn in and installed and takes her seat, the three commissioners, which will be Commissioner Walden, returning to his seat. Myself, I'll be returning to finish out my term that I was elected to 2 years ago. I'll finish out the 2 more years. And then Vance Pedrick, Commissioner Vance Pedrick will be installed, and he'll be the newest one on the board coming in tonight. So with that, if we can indulge and keep your attention and appreciate everybody being here, I'm going to ask Commissioner Brown to, if she would, step forward with the city clerk and be sworn in.
Thank you.
I'm going to move this right over here.
You'll raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the government of the United States
and the government of the United
and of
States
the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of state,
under the Constitution of state,
and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of mayor
and I will well and faithfully perform the duties of mayor
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right, and we'll have Mr. Tony.
She's going to talk for just a minute.
My report.
And you to go.
Thank you. Okay, if the 3 newly and re-elected commissioners would mind stepping forward to be sworn in.
Should I leave now?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say a little. I'm sorry, I was supposed to say something.
We can do them all three.
That's what you know.
That's what we normally do. Just say your name, your city commissioner, and it's all gonna be fine. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the government of the United States
and the government of the United States
and of the state of Florida.
and of the state of Florida.
That I am duly qualified to hold office
I'm duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of state
under the Constitution of state
and that I will well and faithfully perform
that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of City Commissioner
the duties of City Commissioner
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Really quick, and then you can say anything.
Okay.
I'd like to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to our interim commissioner, Chester Reese, for his hard work and dedication to Carrabelle during this transition period. Mr. Chester, your leadership has been invaluable, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as we move forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm taking the tag with me. I just wanted to say I'm very honored to be given this opportunity to be interim. It's been wonderful working with you guys. We have a great city, and staff, you've really helped me along throughout everything. It's been 16 years that I've been with the Planning and Zoning Board, and you've corrected me on many occasions. I just want to say thank you. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Hi, folks.
What did he say? Oh, did he leave?
Okay, give me just a second. All right. Sorry, I'm still getting organized.
You're okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is to, did everyone have a chance to go over the meeting minutes and attorney's invoices for last month?
Yes, ma'am. Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And that motion carries. Do we have any public comment, Ms. Keisha?
I have nothing.
Okay. And we'll move on to the commissioner reports. Commissioner Walden, do you have anything?
I have nothing tonight.
Commissioner Pedrick, would you like to say anything?
I'd just like to say thank you, and I'm happy to be up here and looking forward to working with each of y'all as we move forward. Also, I'd like to remind everybody that Monday is Veterans Day, so the school has a wonderful Veterans Day program at 9 a.m. in the morning, so if you have time, it'd be great for community support at the school. Also, the American Legion out in Lanark is free burgers for vets tomorrow night, 5 to 7. So. And this morning, the American Legion placed 50 small flags in front of Veterans Memorial.
Nice,
So that's it.
thank you. Commissioner Gray?
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Commissioner Millender?
Yes, if I can, Mayor. Actually, he left. I am a proponent, and I'd like to say that even though he's not here, I'm very much a proponent of volunteerism. And I've spoke about volunteerism many times since I've been elected as commissioner, and this brief stint as being a mayor. And the volunteers that work in the various groups for this city do a tremendous job. And I really wanted to recognize Mr. Chester Reese because of what you heard. He spent 16 years of his time volunteering on the Planning and Zoning Board. And then when we were needing a little bit of help behind this diocese 5-6 months ago, he willingly came over and sat up here and worked with us. And there's many other volunteer programs and volunteer things that he does in the community. And I really wanted to recognize him for it, but anyway, I think he was ready to go eat. But that's what I had to say, Mayor, and I really look forward to working with what I think is a really good group of commissioners and an excellent mayor, and I look forward to some good things for the city of Carrabelle. And thank you, ma'am.
I have a little bit of report. First, I would like to begin by offering my heartfelt thank you to all of you who placed your trust in me to serve you. It's truly an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as your mayor, and I promise to give my very best to ensure our community continues to thrive. It's a privilege to sit up here with these four gentlemen, each of whom I respect greatly. We may not always agree on every issue, but we share a common goal, and that's our love for this city. We're here because we all care deeply about the future of Carrabelle and the well-being of its residents. I'm incredibly proud of the team we have at City Hall. Our city staff in every department work tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that Carrabelle remains the wonderful place that we all know and love. Making this city the best it can be is not the work of any one person. It's a collective team effort that includes each and every one of you in the community. We all play a part in the success of Carrabelle. As your mayor, I want you to know that I will always remain open and available to you. If you have questions, concerns, or ideas to improve our community, I'm here to listen. Together, we can continue to build a Carrabelle that we're all proud to call home. Thank you again for this incredible opportunity. Let's continue working together as a united community to make Carrabelle an even better place for the generations to come. Thank you, and may God bless Carrabelle. And then, thank you. And then for my normal report. This Saturday from 6 to 10 p.m. is Lantern Fest at the Crooked River Lighthouse. Tickets can be purchased at crookedriverlighthouse.com or in the gift shop. With Monday being Veterans Day, I would like to thank our veterans for their service and encourage you to visit our local Camp Gordon Johnson Museum on Carrabelle Beach and also Veterans Park in our town center. The downtown businesses will be open with lots of specials for this year's Shop Small Saturday after Thanksgiving on November 30th. It's always a fun time, and we're hoping Santa makes a visit. I hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving, and thank you again for your support. Okay, and now we'll move on to the staff reports. Mr. Hartman?
I have none.
Ms. Courtney?
I sent out staff reports. Did everyone receive those, and were there any questions?
No, but a comment. And I can't help it. The new report that came in from the Water and Sewer Department was super. I've shared that with the city administrator, but I have shared, and I think I can speak for these other commissioners. That's a valuable tool to kind of keep us as a commission and staff informed as to the operations and the productivity within the city. And that report that came in for the first time from Water and Sewer this month like that was super. It was a good report. Thank you.
All right, I only have one other issue. Road closure for Holiday on the Harbor. We didn't get it put on the agenda, so I'm going to do it under my report, but it's the normal roads that we normally close. I believe it's Avenue B and Avenue C and Marine Street, and the chamber is here if there's any questions.
And it'll be Marine Street from Highway 98 to the boat ramp? You're not closing the boat right before the boat ramp? Do we need a motion for?
Yes, we'll need a motion and a second.
What's the date, and I'll make the motion.
December 14th.
Okay.
December 14th.
I make a motion to close Marine Street from Highway 98 to their ending point on Marine Street toward the pavilion on December the 14th for these activities.
And Avenue B and C.
In Avenue B and C.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
That's
Anything
all I
else?
have.
Okay. Ms. Keisha?
Okay, get your calendars out.
All right.
City Hall will be closed on Monday for Veterans Day, in observance of Veterans Day. November the 19th will be our CRA meeting at 1:30. November 21st will be a P&Z meeting, if we have anything. at 2 o'clock. December, we will be closed the 28th and 29th for observance of Thanksgiving. December 5th will be our next regular city meeting. And we need to schedule a final budget hearing for 23-24 budget. Normally, we do it that last week, so I was looking at maybe the 26th, that's Tuesday.
I'm available that day.
Okay. We can do it in the morning, it doesn't have to be 5:01, like, when we're approving the budget, this is just to finalize everything.
Whatever works for you guys.
I'm good with that day,
Yes.
All day?
all day.
How about you two? All day? You want to do 10 a.m.?
Suit, that's
10,
fine with
that's-
me.
How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. 10 a.m., November 26th,
And then I'll need a motion for that meeting.
Special meeting?
Yes.
Tuesday.
Make a motion that we have a special meeting on November the 26th at 10 a.m. for the purpose of reviewing the 2023, 2024 past budget,
Yes, final budget.
final budget.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Large, would you like to continue with your report?
Thank you. Congratulations, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brief report tonight. We have some projects that are wrapping up. We have the Lighthouse Sewer and Water Extension project wrapping up. Marine Street work is being finalized. The grant administrator is working to get that closed out. We have the wastewater treatment plant permit renewal. We've been trying to schedule a meeting with Bill Evans in Pensacola at his office to see if we could shake that loose. We don't have that meeting scheduled yet, but we're trying to get that on the docket. Lanark East and Lanark West sewer rehabilitation project. The bids, the project has been let to bid, so it's been advertised, and that's in the Tallahassee Democrat, the Port St. Joe Star, Apalachicola Times, and the bids are due Tuesday, December 17th at 1:30 here in City Hall. So we'll be able to present those bids at the January commission meeting.
January.
Okay. Well number 5, that permit was issued by the Water Management District on October the 11th. So we're now proceeding with the construction permit through DEP. All right, lastly, we have 4 grant projects that are submitted. We're expecting those to be awarded at some point in December. And then for the Avenue C overflow boat parking, that grant application period opens in January.
Perfect.
And that concludes my report.
Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, sir.
All right,
Thank
thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our advisory boards. Do we have anything from the Airport Advisory Board that's not on the agenda? Okay. And, Mr. Steve, you're on the agenda too. Okay. Ms. Tamara, do you have anything for us from the museum? All right, moving right along. Okay, next is the public hearing for Resolution 15-2024. Mr. Hartman, would you like to handle that one?
Yes, Madam Mayor. So this is City of Carrabelle Resolution 15-2024, and it's a resolution authorizing the mayor to negotiate and execute a time extension of a public transportation grant agreement amendment. Whereas the City of Carrabelle agrees to negotiate and execute an amendment to the public transportation grant agreement for project number 423905-5 to extend the end date of the agreement from December 6, 2024 to June 6, 2025. Whereas the City of Carrabelle needs the additional time to complete the site work design and construction due due to impacts to project schedule as a result of the design changes due to stormwater permitting and wetland mitigation. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Carrabelle, Florida, assembled in regular meeting on November 7, 2024, that the mayor be and she is hereby authorized and directed to negotiate and execute an amendment to the Public Transportation Grant Agreement for project number 423905-5 with the Florida Department of Transportation, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be attached to the Public Transportation Grant Agreement between the City of Carrabelle and the Florida Department of Transportation when fully executed.
Okay, we need a motion for that.
Yes, this is for the taxiway and site prep design.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 15, TAC 2024.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And, Ms. Keisha, I have the paper, but it has Mr. Tony's name on it.
Okay,
Do you
I'll
wanna- okay.
fix it.
All right, new business. Item number 1 is presentation of the audit of financial statements by James Moore and Company. And Ms. Courtney?
We have Mr. Ben here with us tonight.
Okay.
I'm gonna mess with that because I'm a little bit taller than that. How are you guys doing tonight? My name is Ben Clark. So I know you guys got the audit right there. Give me a minute to grab that. So while y'all are passing that out, I know you guys are used to seeing Mark Payne here, so I'll acknowledge that I am not Mark Payne. I'm a little bit younger. I've been working with Mark for over almost 10 years now, I think, so it's been a great time working with him. He could not make it tonight, so I'm doing it in his place. But glad to be with you guys. I work with cities and counties all over the state of Florida. I'm with our government audit team, and I've worked in the Tallahassee office with Mark, so I'm excited to be working with you guys, and I'll be working with you guys going forward, so I couldn't be happier about that. I'm going to go over the audit with you guys tonight and answer any questions. I'm going to try not to go too far in depth, although Courtney did say we have about 2 hours if we want to do that. And you said go really in depth. Okay, so we won't do that. But we will go over it, and I sincerely will answer any questions if you guys have any. Otherwise, this is for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, so a little over a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to start audit work for the next fiscal year in probably January, and then we'll do that kind of in the spring. And kind of going the normal timeline like that. So just to paint the picture of where we're at, this is numbers are a little bit older than what you guys are probably looking at in council meetings and that kind of thing, in other words. So in the big audit packet that you guys just have in front of you, this is going to be kind of like similar to prior years. And so as far as that goes, the audit really is about as an audit report, and then there's like 4 other audit reports in there. So usually when I tell my city clients about their audit or my county clients, I usually kind of remind them that, hey, this is 5 reports in one packet, because there's all kinds of stuff that we have to report on to be in accordance with state statutes. As far as the audit goes, some things I like to remind my clients are, these are management's financial statements, so we're just the auditors. We're placing our opinion on the statements, and I can tell you what that opinion is in a second, but these are you all statements, and you guys are taking responsibility over those tonight and during the audit process. So as far as the first report, there's on page 1, there's the first page there. That's going to tell you the type of report. So there's obviously, if you're not familiar with financial statements, there's different types of opinions that we give. This is the same opinion that you guys had last year. It's called a qualified opinion. Not really a big deal as far as that goes, but basically there's one item that we don't include in the numbers of your actual financials. It has to do with OPEB and really nitty-gritty accounting stuff, but there's basically a liability that we don't include in there, because if to do that, we'd have to hire an actuary to get that number. And it's just not really a value add to the city to have to hire an actuary and do that, so we just kind of leave that number out. But otherwise, everything else in the statements is materially correct, and so you can rely on these for your decision-making purposes or otherwise. So that's the actual first report that we kind of give, where it states our opinion, and so that goes for a number of pages, so that kind of spells out kind of what I just said. The statements are materially correct except for that one item, and otherwise you can kind of rely on those for your purposes. I'm going to go over the numbers in a second, so I'm going to flip around here and kind of name page numbers. But as far as the other reports in here, I usually like to go over the reports first and then kind of tell you about how the city did financially throughout that fiscal year. But as far as the other reports, usually, obviously, when you kind of get an audit, the first question people ask is, do we have any findings? Is there anything wrong? All those sorts of kind of things. As far as that goes, there were a few comments that are pretty consistent with the kinds of things that the city had in prior years. Nothing that really raises significant alarm bells or anything of the sort. But on page 49, You guys obviously kind of know the kind of grant activity that you all have going on here, which is usually pretty significant with, things like that, state and federal awards, which is awesome that you guys are getting those grants in. So applaud yourselves for that. When you get certain levels of grants in, you have to have what's called a single audit. And so that means we have to take a deep dive into what you're spending money on with those grants. Is it being spent appropriately, and so on and so forth. And we kind of looked at all those things during the audit and did our deep dive of that. We did not see anything with regard to findings over your grants. So that's a good thing. We really don't want to see findings in those areas because that's usually raises red flags with state agencies and so forth. So nothing like that happened. As far as page 52, that's going to be the report that's going to be under government auditing standards and internal controls. So there are a few comments in there, but like I said, those are consistent with prior years, things like segregation of duties or, we have to make some audit adjustments during the audit to get balances perfectly up into accounting standards. The accounting standards are pretty high bar as far as, if you can't perfectly run your QuickBooks reports, and they're not perfectly in accordance with CPA standards, then the standards say you have to put a little comment in there, but nothing that's a big deal as far as we're concerned. We're happy to keep helping in that area to kind of help make sure all those things happen, but just one little thing there as far as that goes. And then the other item on page 58, so that is the report that has, it's called we call it the AG report internally. And so that's a management letter that we're required to issue, and it's really if there's any other comments that need to be made during the audit. We kind of mentioned in there. There were a few items there on page 59 with some recommendations that we really had with regard to the travel policy and with regard to some other documentation for policy manuals. Again, these are just recommendations, things that we found and said, hey, you probably need to look at that and maybe pay attention to that, and we can kind of tweak that kind of stuff, but nothing as far as a serious, comment or anything like that, just kind of recommendations that we have in this letter. And then the very last report that we have in the statements is on page 62. So this is another pretty important report. It's pretty short, but it's with regard to the city's compliance with state statutes with regard to investments. And so if the city was non-compliant with their investments or anything of the sort, it would show up in here, but we have found nothing that would say that in our audit testing. So there's some general requirements, and we kind of have an examination report that we kind of put in the file as far as that goes. So with all that kind of information that I just laid out, the few little comments that we did have, the city's response is listed on page 64. And so other than that, with regard to the audit, the specific audit reports, are there any questions at this stage that you guys have? And if you need to ever ask me questions after this meeting, emails are fine. Courtney has my email. You can call me, and I can always set up a time to talk with you. All right, so if there's no questions on that front, as far as the numbers go, on page 13 is probably the page that I would look at to see how did the city do as far as financially as of September 30th, 2023. So with regard to the city's finances, obviously these are government statements, so you're going to have like your general fund and all the kind of funds in different columns. The general fund is usually what we look at to say, hey, how's the city doing as far as its reserve balances or otherwise? And I can say in this case, the city has very healthy reserve balances. One of the ways we tell that is if you look at the kind of the bottom there, usually around 3.2 million, although you have some other balances there, the 3.2 million is really what we call the unassigned fund balance. That's kind of everything that's left over if in theory we were to pay all our liabilities. If you compare that to the expenditures for the year on page 15 of about, give or take, 2.3 million, that's obviously higher. And so really what the Florida Government Finance Officers Association says is that your fund balance should be in the coastal area like this about 33% of your expenditures, and obviously we're even over that, which is great. So that's just a minimum recommendation. So that means that if a hurricane comes through or something like this, we have money set aside to deal with it, and so that's a good thing that you have these levels of fund balances. Otherwise, as far as other spending goes or other revenues, all that's pretty consistent with either the grants that you have kind of going or the normal taxing sources. So other than that, I have no other comments as far as the numbers go. I'm just happy to see the reserve balances be at the level that they're at, and it seems like the utility funds are functioning at a healthy level at this point. So keep up the good work, and I'm excited to work with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have any questions or comments from the commissioners? Thank you very much.
All right, good being with you guys.
Good job, everyone. That's really good news. Yeah, that was great. Okay, item number 2, discussion and possible action concerning approval for alcohol license for Mi Ranchero Mexican Restaurant. Do we have someone here to speak on that? We'll be easy on you, I promise.
This is the owner, and she's very shy.
Okay.
Hey, my name is Ureli. I'm the owner of Mi Ranchito, and we're here because we would like to serve beer and wine to the customer. They've really been asking for it.
Okay. And I have already spoken to our city administrator, and just to confirm here at the meeting, the restaurant is 350 feet or more from a active church. Is that correct?
They may want to have some input.
Okay.
So, that is the standard, and it's that, I talked to staff who advised that there is the one would be a church building there, historically used as a church, but that it was not active, and the standard is whether or not it was active at the time of adoption of the ordinance, which was earlier this year. And it was.
No.
It was
hasn't
not.
been
Was not.
For some years now.
Okay, so, given that, then that would not be considered, if it's not an active church, then it does not prevent the issue of the approval.
And we are saying it's not active due to sunbiz.org having them as an inactive organization and them not having a utility bill.
It's the Love Center Church, which they've moved to the building just up the street. So they've moved a couple doors down. That's the same group, church.
And staff talked about it earlier, I wasn't aware until Courtney we talked about it at lunch, but the water bill. So do they have active utilities at the site? And they do not have a water bill. They're not connected to the city water.
thank you.
Okay.
I mean, they're connected, but they don't have an active water
Would there
bill.
be any other reason for them to not be approved for this as far as our city ordinances are concerned?
Not from a legal standpoint.
Okay. Do we have any questions or comments from the commission?
Is this just a beer only? Is that what?
Beer and wine.
Beer and wine? Okay, yeah.
Mr. Millender?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I personally had a lot of conversation today about the issue. Even though as what has already been described that it's inactive, it's still considered a church building. It could become active tomorrow. I had some issue about it. I know some of the folks that or I found out today who some of the folks are that are still involved with that building, and it is a church building. It may not be active, but it's still a church building. And I was here and very much in favor, and actually not taking credit, but truthfully, I was the one that made the recommendation approximately a year ago after Commissioner Gray brought it up about making some changes to our distances on our alcohol ordinance. And we dropped from 500 feet to 350 feet for restaurants that are gonna serve, that's 65% or more serving food, and allowed them to be able to serve beer. If that no longer, and we feel that way because we don't see any activity there, if it's no longer going to be a church and going to turn into something other than a church, I don't have an issue with it. But I do have a little bit of reservation because I do support churches very strongly. And I do have an issue or a thought, even though it's been said that the building has not been used for a while. Now, whatever the definition of a while means, I'm not here to give that definition because I can't tell you when the last time it was used. But I also can't project when it may be used as a church. And if it becomes a church, I feel strongly that that church, whatever that church may be, should be given that note or that opportunity as every other church, that distance should be adhered to. I'm not against businesses whatsoever. I'm pro-business. But that is my stand on the request. Now, I do know, I found out this afternoon that Mr. Davis in Apalachicola is still involved in that building, which is called a church. And I also found out that Miss Rankin in Wakulla County is still involved in that church. Again, and I can't explain and sit here and say what their intentions are. I can't speak for those folks. But anyway, those were my concerns. And I shared those with staff, and I shared those concerns with staff. And I still want to support your business, but I also want to support the rules that this commission, prior commission and recent commission and current commission, have put into place. And anyway, I think there's a fine line, and the attorney and I discussed it. There's a fine line between active and a church. And I've got a hang up on it still being a church building. And that's just my behalf. So if any other commissioner wants to speak to it, go ahead, but that's how I feel.
No, I just want clarity underneath the new ordinance. Is that as the crow flies,
Let
350 feet?
Yes, the 350 feet as from door to door to door.
Door to door.
It's
Front door to front door.
as the crow flies.
As a crow flies, yes, as a
Okay.
crow flies. And again, active church shall be defined as a building used, I'm skipping here, but building used for public Christian worship, open on the date this ordinance was adopted. So the analysis is, and I say, was it January we adopted it? February?
Somewhere in there.
Right, for
I
first
looked
month.
at the water bill, it got transferred from the one building to the other about 3 or 4 years ago, so they've been using the
Okay.
new building. for
So if it
some
was
time.
not open on the date the ordinance was adopted, then it would not be considered an active church. And that active church is the operative.
So I have, go ahead, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you got the floor.
Is there power there?
Don't know.
We don't.
What, Commissioner, what I was going to add is one thing that would make me feel more comfortable about the situation is for those people that I just spoke about, if they're the ones that's involved in that building, that church, because that's what it's called, a church. Be contacted, and if they have no desire to utilize that building in the near future for a church, I'm with you 100%. That's my feeling on it.
Is that, we've signed off on this ordinance,
Yeah,
and it
my
has,
concern would be, we do want to comply, and I know I've talked to Commissioner Millender about it, and he's on board with this, of course, of complying with our ordinance. But in putting in requirements that are not found in the ordinance, I would just recommend against it. But you guys do have discretion in a lot of ways, but I would not put additional requirements on that are not found in the ordinance, because then we would have to apply those moving forward to everyone else.
right.
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything, Commissioner Gray?
I'll ask a question. What was the, I guess, requirements of if there was a church to be moved in within the 350 feet after?
They're welcome to move in. They would just move in. This would be grandfathered, essentially, just
Exactly.
like the Junction or something like that, where
Exactly.
the church would absolutely be able to reopen. There's no restriction on a church opening up next door to the restaurant.
But it wouldn't shut them down.
But it would not shut them
No.
down, right? They wouldn't lose their license.
And I couldn't agree more with that. If there's a church wants to move within that
Bubble.
requirement, that's on them. That's new. That's not existing. And that's on them.
And this kind of falls in that line where it's not active.
Right, doesn't meet the definition of an active church, which would be open for public worship on the date this ordinance was adopted. And we talked about it, now that we've really talked about it, we won't go into it now, but there are hypotheticals that could lead to problems, given the way it's drafted. So, but that is not what's here, the question is, was it an active church in, I'm gonna say January, but on date of adoption, of this ordinance, which was, we know, January, February of 2024. And my understanding was, again, they've been dissolved, the company, the church organization, but to me, more importantly, they have not had water service there. So they haven't, if they're open for public worship, I would think they would have utilities available to flush
Right.
toilets and wash hands and do that sort of thing. So,
One other food for thought, board members, is it still shows on your county records as being a tax exempt church.
I believe we have another building on 67 that's zoned the same, and they've moved it to or people are living there now, but
Yeah.
it's,
And I agree with that, Mayor. If it changes, if this building changes over to a residence, then the church status is done.
But, you know,
But it could come back to be a church. I mean, Morning Bite was a church
Yeah.
at one point.
I was just,
And then it, it's a restaurant, so
But if they come back,
it's allowed in anywhere in that
right,
zone.
but if they come back to be a church, it's just like I said, then they already know that they're gonna be
They're
inside.
within that.
Yeah, they know that up front.
how long have the Love Center been there?
Oh, my goodness, I can't answer that, but it's been a day or two, and I say
And-
that lightly.
And I say this lightly, a day or two, there used to be alcohol served in a bar in that same plaza.
yeah, Sean Shanghai Saloon.
You talking about the, what is it, the,
Sean Shanghai Saloon?
yeah, I know what you're talking about,
It
And
was the sandbar.
but I don't know, was that place ever licensed?
I can't answer that.
It was licensed.
It was? But that was during the old days, I don't think there was no rules there then.
So, given the fact that it is inactive, I'm going to motion to approve the request.
okay, do I have a second? I'll second the motion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we have Pedrick, Brown, and Gray for it, and Walden and Millender against. The motion passes.
And I'd like to comment, Mayor, to these folks here. Hey, I'm proud to have you guys here, and I'm not against you. I'm just trying to follow our rules, that's all.
Understand, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, discussion and possible action concerning approval for alcohol permit for the Lighthouse Lantern Fest.
Definitely opposed.
From what I understand, they're not actually requesting a permit, they're requesting permission. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I want to apologize up front that it's this late a date on it. My new board just got around to making a decision about having alcohol at this event. We didn't have it at this event last year. It was February when we had the first event. And as promised, I will continue to try to have advance notice, like quarterly, what events that we plan to have so that y'all will have a deal. And it's, it's a lovely event, and we're gonna have a nice band and lots of activities going on, and food, of course, which is one of the requirements. And we just want people to be able to have a beer or what have you with our vendor, who's Harry's, if that's allowable. Appreciate it.
Thank you. This has come up to me several times this week, so I've given it a lot of thought, obviously. There's going to be food vendors, and I kind of feel like we're singling out the alcohol vendor, which is understandable, but I personally feel like all food and beverage vendors should be held to the same standard, and if we're requiring Harry's to show their license and insurance and what have you, the rest of the food and beverage vendors should be held to the same standard. I could be wrong, but it's just my opinion.
I have a tendency to agree. Because it's a liability
Exactly.
policy is what it is, and I did see the one that was sent by Harry's today, and I was good with that. But I agree with your statement, Mayor.
Okay, for this one, it's not on the agenda, so I don't know if we can request that, but for future going forward, it may be a good idea.
I got you.
Okay. Do we have any,
I'll make a motion to approve their request because
Okay.
I do see the coverage that Harry sent today, and I think they have fulfilled their, yeah. So I'll make a motion to approve.
okay, do I have a second? I'll second that. And do we have any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
As
Mr.
always,
Wallace?
I'm opposed to any alcohol with these family events, but I know you voted against it last year. You guys had it. It went off smoothly, but still ain't changed my mind. That's just my comment.
I respect that. Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Fedrick?
My comment is because you said beer and then whatever Harry's. What kind of alcohol are we trying to serve? Just beer and wine, or are we trying to serve hard liquor as well?
No hard liquor.
So no liquor,
Right, no liquor.
just
No liquor.
beer and wine.
They have only served beer and wine at Lighthouse events in the past.
Ever.
Right.
I can
And we've only had
attest
2 events in the last
that they've
9
been to.
months that they have been to, so this is a new thing.
I think that was a good question, but most of us already have covered that, but that's a good question.
So,
I've had concerns come my way, and it's made me think about having alcohol at a park.
Okay.
And I'm not really 100% for it, but I do want to give you one more chance, and hopefully the concerns that I had come for is not going to come again.
Okay,
That could definitely change my mind.
okay.
And one of the concerns that I heard was people were bringing in their own alcohol. It wasn't, I haven't heard anything negative about this particular vendor,
Right. Yeah, that was
but they're
part of
kind
the-
of holding
that
it
was an-
against them, and that has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, that was an announcement made by an individual in front of this commission. If he had come to me and told me that that was going on, I would have dealt with it, but he didn't do that. He wanted to use that to come and complain. I will be looking more closely at that because I don't want to jeopardize any future operations, so I will be monitoring that as best as I can.
Yes.
Yes,
Do
I
you have
respect
any
that.
kind of, as would say, security in case anything was to get out of hand to escort someone off?
Yes, I think we have somebody that's been hired to be from the sheriff's department.
All right.
Yeah, and actually, the sheriff's department, I'm going to give the sheriff credit. We asked to hire someone from the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department provided that for us free at their cost.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect, yeah.
And if just special attention to anyone bringing in a cooler or,
We'll make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
It doesn't have anything to do with his request, but I'll make a comment because of an observation. And I'm not trying to speak for the chief, but I think I am. If you are going to hire off-duty officers, give his officers an opportunity.
In the past, we've done that, and it was already done before I got a chance to put
Okay.
input on it.
Hey, listen, that's
But
not a
yes.
thought. I mean,
Yeah.
just a thought. We don't have to.
We
address
did that
Yep.
back years ago. That's the way it was done, and it got, someone else did that before I got a chance to offer a
Gotcha.
suggestion.
He's got a whole new board now.
Yeah, I'm no longer the person completely responsible for all the decisions, so,
Thank you, Steve.
yes, sir.
Okay, anything else from the board?
no, I'm happy that there's going to be a deputy there.
Do we have any public comment? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Ms. Keisha, we have 4 in favor and Mr. Wallen opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Y'all come out and see you.
I'll be there. Bright and shiny. Okay, item number 4, bid award for airport taxiway project, and as I understand,
We will not have any action on this tonight. It is the same project that we approved the extension on earlier. It did go out to bid, and all of the bids came in over budget. So our engineer, Kimley Horn, is going back and negotiating with the contractor, trying to get the price down. So he is not ready to award the bid at this point.
Okay. All right. Item number 5, discussion and possible action concerning allowable uses in C1 zoning, specifically boat storage. This one, we foresaw this coming eventually, and this is gonna take a lot of discussion. This is a major, something that we need to put a lot of thought into. But do we have anyone from the public that would like to come up and speak on this? Okay.
Before he speaks, where is this one located?
This is in general in our C1.
It's 508 Marine.
That's his property.
Right.
This is the entire commercial, if it's C1 commercial. The only thing that allows for boat storage in our city is C2, which is a very small portion along the riverfront. And that's it. So we have several people, this gentleman's one, but several people that have inquired about doing boat storage on their commercial property, and they're currently not allowed to.
Okay, so this was looking at just adding it to the C1 in general.
Yes.
Okay.
Or by special exception.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, I'm Bob Robinson. So I've been down in the area for about 3 years. I have a couple properties on Dog Island. And basically, I'm also eventually moving down here and buying a property on the mainland. But I'm from Delaware, lower Delaware. So a little different animal. I'm used to be around the water. Basically, I was looking at, when I first bought the property, it was told to me by the real estate agent it was C4. Okay, so I looked up C4, Franklin County, not realizing Carrabelle had a different. He said it was C4 mixed use. Okay, so I thought at the time that I was good for this. Now, everything I've done to it, I did go with Keisha, and I've run it by her before I did it. Like, when I cleared the land, I asked her if I could do that, and also with the fencing. Now, there is also the Carnival thing is on there, and I put a gate on that corner, and I told Jerry, I said, let them know that they can get a key to that gate, that way they don't have to fool with that box being moved, and basically just, open it up whenever you need to use it.
We really appreciate that.
So I did that intentionally because I didn't think that you need to move that post because it wasn't in the way. So, so originally the reason I did it is because moorings came in and their rates got ridiculously high. It doubled. So I had 2 boats there. So at the time I bought that property and I said, well, I'll just keep my boats there. And Jerry said, well, you could keep other boats there too. I said, okay. So I said, Jerry's the one at Just Right Marina. I was looking with him to have him go ahead. He's going to manage it and take care of it. But it also gives him a place to take his boats to work on them instead of being on the street. That's the part I thought would be good about it. So he would have a store up the street and they'd be able to work on his boats on the property down there. So that was part of the arrangement and all that. So, so I saw it was a good place, good affordable, to make affordable boat storage right there. It's close to the water, and it's right there with everything else. Now, my understanding is C1, the moorings has a property across from their property. They've enclosed that, and they offered me storage there for my boat. Now, that's C1 too. I don't understand why they have C1 on that and have approval to it.
They've been notified as well.
Okay, because they did that, and they sent me a notice, and well, even with that, with their new lot, it's more expensive than what I was paying before with the new area. So, and their launches doubled in price for launching out of there. It went from, $30 round to 50 or 60 now, going in and out of the water. So, and then they had everybody leave the one area because I don't know what their plans are there, but they were pretty much chasing everybody out of there. So I said, well, I'll make affordable boats for the people who have boats on the island. That way they keep their boats there. The top lot, I haven't done anything with, and what I was looking at is this, the Breaknail Dog Island parking lot is, when it gets busy, everybody's parking on the streets. Okay? So I was looking at the top lot to possibly have it so some people can park their cars up there for overflow to get them off the streets too. So, probably a dumb thing I did, but I did it anyway. So, but it was mainly because I thought there was a need for it in the area. And misunderstanding on C4.
Thank you
And,
very
and
much.
oh, by the way, the lot up, right up the street there is still advertised. It's listed as C4, mixed use.
I don't even think we have a C4.
I know you don't. Now I know it.
Now he
But
does.
when I looked up C4, I was in Franklin County, I looked up C4, and I said, oh, I'm good.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, that's a realtor issue there.
I know that, and I realize that too, so I wasn't, was my concern on that.
We've had a few of those around here.
Mayor, I'm gonna make a motion that, with all concern, that we table this as far as our agenda tonight, and that we send this requested item, which is not gonna be isolated to one particular area, as the administrator has pointed out. Send this item to the Planning and Zoning Board and ask for them to work on this item and give us some input. So
Okay.
that's my motion. Is
Would
to
they,
ta- is
would
for
it
us
be
to-
at their next available meeting?
It'll be up to Keish.
Yeah, I spoke to Mayor Brown about this too. I recommend probably wait until January.
First of the year.
When we have an actual.
Yes.
Because we've been having a hard time getting a quorum, and now Vance has
Yep.
moved over and Chester's gone. We're trying to get some more board members, and with the holidays. and
Holidays
it's
always
just
slows us down.
Can't get, everybody's on vacation, so we could put this on the January,
Right.
January 16th.
Anyway, that's my motion. It's for us to table it on our agenda until the planning and zoning's had an opportunity to study this, because they're not gonna be able to do it at one meeting. That's my opinion, so. And, give us a report back.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that. And I
Sir?
think that, even if they have time, then the next stop will be a workshop, because this is going to be a lengthy conversation.
Yes,
Very much.
agreed. Any other discussion?
There's,
Sure, come on up. And please introduce yourself.
Daleen Siegert. The fencing, especially on Main Street, where the little building is fenced in, is that kind of where we're talking about too? Across from the moorings, they've got the razor wire on there.
That's not his
That's
property.
not his, but
No.
you have yours like that though, I think. Could planning and zoning talk about fencing requirements? Because especially on Main Street there, it's an eyesore. It looks terrible. It's scary. I would like to, if planning and zoning is gonna talk about fencing for things like this, then let's get it uniform and not so, institutional, as in prison type look. Just a thought.
Thank you.
Addressing the fence, one of the things, and I haven't ordered it yet because I stopped everything, because I didn't want you people to think I'm just going
Thank you.
ahead without, so I told with the Cripple Creek, I told them to stop everything they're doing, I stopped everything. I had shade cloth I was ordering with marines, basically marine like turtles and dolphins like that to put across the front on the street side. So it looked to match with the, the area that went with the area, so I stopped all that, so. But I did ask with the fence, and I did ask locally, Jerry and everything else, I said, you think razor wire is a little bit overkill to put on top of it? And he says, no, he says, well, I didn't really want to put razor wire on it because it's the extra cost, it does look like a prison place. But I didn't have any power to put up cameras or anything else there. and I was moving my one boat I have there. Now, the only other boat that was ever been there was when the storm came through. Jerry says, I got some people have boats that are in low areas, can I park them there for now? I said, sure, go ahead, because it's high ground there, and that ground's never been underwater, so, per se.
I think the fence is a totally different issue that's a little bit more harder and takes more time to change the requirements if they meet this current standard than just saying you can't put the fence there. So I think that's something we'll have to work on separately.
It's
'Cause like I
something to
said,
consider with
I
the
had
whole.
cleared it with the fence before I even did it, so.
Yep. Well, thank you for thinking of that.
Well, I did, trust me, I try to do everything so it's not a problem for the
Thank you.
local area. You know,
You're
that's
a
like they
breath
even
of
put the
fresh
gate
air.
there and I told them they don't have to move the pole. And I don't know whether they're gonna move the pole or not, I hope they just leave it there, because it doesn't mean to be available to anybody other than the person who's running the festival.
Right.
Open the gate and make it available. So,
I've ordered another pole. We're leaving the pole with you that's on your property, and we've got another one to put on the corner on the outside, so that.
So you are gonna move it then? Okay.
We're gonna put a new
That's
one
fine.
up.
That's fine.
Just for the festival. And then we turn it off for the festival, so
Okay.
you'll have access to that for your property, because it was on your property,
No,
so.
that's fine, it's, I was gonna drop another pole in there anyway, so, but yeah, I just like trying to be, if I'm moving in the area in another year, I'm gonna basically, I'm a contractor with the Army, so I'm gonna retire next year. Hopefully they let me go. That's where we're at.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions or comments from the commission? Anyone else in the audience want to have anything to say? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous, and the motion carries. So we will have this on the P and Z agenda in January. And they're an advisory board, and they'll discuss it and let us know what they think.
So we're looking at January timeframe or February.
To change or make a special exception, it's going to take a few months. It's a whole process.
But I'll be able to keep my own boat there, correct?
That's your property, you can keep your boat on it for sure, but to make it a business storage type thing, and because it's not a single instance, this is gonna change potentially the whole look of our downtown area. We really wanna give this some thought and make sure we do it right.
The only other thing I was surprised when they have RV storage there. It's allowed. Which is
I'm
really
not
strange.
sure if RV storage is allowed in C1 either,
It's on your list.
with a special exception.
No, it's no special exception.
Is that correct, Keisha?
I believe that's correct. Let's
And that's what surprised me, that you would have RV storage and not boat storage.
Me too.
Why would you want a bunch of trailers there and not boats?
And I agree, we do need more boat storage, but we just want to make sure we plan this properly. Okay, item number 6, discussion and possible action concerning hiring a police officer. And Chief Hogan, would you like to come up and speak on this item?
Good evening. So I'm coming before you guys tonight to ask for your consideration and possible approval of a full-time police officer. We recently advertised for hiring a police officer, and I received 3 applications, and I've reviewed the applications and spoke with the individuals. And it's my thought that at this point, I would like for you guys to consider hiring Chris Love as a police officer.
Okay, and this is the position that we approved in this last budget, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it's already in the budget. We knew this was coming. All right, does any commissioner have any questions?
I want to make a motion to approve Chief Hogan's request to hire Chris Love.
Yes, sir.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about him
Sure,
before we hire him?
I can.
I'll second that first.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, he's actually here in the audience. That's Chris Love. And he has a little over 22 years of experience in law enforcement. Majority of that time was spent in Blakely, Georgia, Bainbridge area, I think around 18 years. And he moved back to his wife's hometown recently, approximately 4 years ago, and he has worked with the sheriff's office and the city of Apalachicola most recently. And he brings quite a bit of experience. So I think he'll be an asset to the department.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
We definitely trust your judgment. All right. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you so much.
sir.
Good
Well-
luck.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Lots of new people today. Okay, item number 7, discussion and possible action concerning a letter of support request for the state of Florida to join the Southern Rail Commission. And I reported slightly on this a couple months ago after my ARPC meeting. They're the ones who are requesting the letter of support. And Ms. Courtney, would you like to tell us anything extra about it?
No, just what you've said. The ARPC is requesting a letter of support from the city to join the Southern Rail Commission.
Okay. Do we have any discussion from the commission?
I'll motion to approve the letter of support.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second this motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. This is one I'm very excited about. It could potentially give us more opportunity to bring visitors into our area, getting the railroad going again, not to mention jobs. It's all positive. Okay, item number 8, discussion and possible action concerning the airport waiting list policy. And Ms. Courtney, as our airport manager, I believe.
Airport
Would you like to
manager.
tell us a little bit about this?
We currently have a waiting list of 19 people who have been on there since 2019. So our advisory board for the airport, they looked at our policy and said if we could adjust our policy, we could limit some of these. So you've all had a chance to review the policy. And then what they're suggesting is to put in some distance requirements for, say, people who live in closer proximity have priority over other people requesting. What we're seeing is that some of our hangars may have people renting them from out of town and they're not here as often, where we have people who are more locally that could use that hangar and would be using our airport on more of a daily basis, getting fuel there more often. And it's not tied up to someone who's not here most of the time. The only comment that I did receive from commissioners was that, I think it says that they have 5 days to respond once they're given the opportunity. And that maybe that wasn't enough if we had to send out a letter. So either we take out the by mail and just leave it as email and phone number, or we increase the time from 5 days to 10 or whatever you guys think. But I think in this day and time, everyone has an email and a phone number, I would hope.
Yes, that was my suggestion. I don't mind keeping it 5 days, and maybe with whatever changes happen here, each person gets contacted to say, is this your current email and phone number? And it's your responsibility to keep this information updated, because once you get that call or email, you have 5 days to respond. We have a long waiting list, and it wouldn't be fair to the others to keep putting it off. But snail mail would not, it's gonna take longer than that for them to get the letter, much less respond.
Right.
So I got a question on that.
Okay.
In there, there's a fee for being put on the waiting list. And the way it currently reads, and I understand we've had people on the waiting list for 6 years. So the way it's currently reads is that we want to, if they want to stay on the waiting list, now we want to charge them. And I think if you've been on the waiting list for 6 years, if you still want to stay on there, you should not have to pay $100 and something to stay on there.
Has the fee always been there, or is the fee
No,
new?
that's new.
That's new. And my second thing is talking about distances and people who say, come down here that live in Pennsylvania, whatever, but they're renting the hangar all year long. Are we looking to kind of move them out, the people that are closer?
I don't know that we can move them out, but as they leave, it would be offered to someone closer.
As long as we're not trying to move them out?
No.
Okay.
For the distance thing, I would like to see it used more locally, because that's the whole point, to service our area. And like you said, they would be utilizing the fuel and the different resources and visiting our town and things like that. And that is the benefit of having an airport here. You know, if they're only flying in or out once or twice a year, it's not really benefiting our economy. And so maybe the airport board should consider what their distance would be, how they want to go through the list. If somebody, just say for example, are in a 50-mile radius, those people would be considered first. And if none of them are interested in the available space, then it would be going on to the next.
And I think it did have
Is
it
that-
in there where they started out with a 20-mile radius or 25. It was, let me see.
Correct, it's in there.
Okay, 10, then 25, then 50.
Yes,
then-
so at first it would be offered to someone within 10 miles, and if there was no one, then it would go to 20, and then to...
Okay. I agree with that. Do you guys have any other questions or concerns?
My only concern, like I said, is I don't want to charge people who's been on the waiting list for 6 years a fee now to remain. That's my only concern.
So would you be asking for a limit of years? You pay for 5 years and then you're on the list?
Well, once you pay the fee, you're on the list indefinitely until you get a hangar. It's just
Right.
these people that's been on the fee for 6 years, the way that's written is now, in order to stay on the list, they'll have to pay a fee. And just because we changed our policy, I don't think that they should be charged a fee.
Well, I'll share my feeling. I've participated at the airport board meetings, sit in on them, not participated, but sit in on them now, since I was the mayor for the last 5 or 6 months. But anyway, I kind of agree. I do understand what Commissioner Vance is saying. I see where he's coming from, his logic behind it, but I also agree with the airport board that that if a person's really interested in having a hangar, they'll pay that fee to be on that list, because I think they feel like that when this fee is initiated, that's gonna eliminate a whole bunch of the speculators that are holding up positions. And so I kind of agree with that. That's not a very expensive fee, in my opinion, to begin with in today's money. And they did discuss that thoroughly at their board meeting. So I kind of support that, and the mileage is in there. That's in there, the 10, the 20, I think, 40, whatever it is. And the other thing, I was the one that was saying something about the 5 days, because my example was to Courtney was the 5 days with our mail situation, if we were gonna continue to do mail, but I don't care what the group wants to do. If you wanna go with telephone and just an email, because sure as a heck, somebody's not gonna have it. But anyway, just to accommodate people, 5 days was not enough with snail mail. You couldn't even get it to them. And especially if it was being mailed back to you the way the mail situations have been.
You may wait 2 months.
Yeah, so I was saying that we should increase that 5 days, but especially with the snail mail. But anyway, I'm good with doing whatever you guys want to do, but Commissioner Pedrick, I just wanted to express that that's kind of what I was picking up from the airport board. So that's me. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And I similarly agree that, you know, they have been on it for a long time. They haven't had to pay, but, you know, policies change every day. It's time for us to update this policy and requiring an application fee is just normal practice for this sort of thing. So I don't see why they would be excluded.
Well, let me share one other item there that may be of interest to this board, because there was a lot of discussion amongst the airport board. They handle a lot of things and they work through a lot of items. One of the big things was people getting on the list currently, and people that actually had hangars and were not utilizing them for what they were there for. They were not, the hangar may have cars in it instead of airplanes in it. Those kind of things. So they're trying to work through that and eliminate that kind of stuff. They're built for airplane hangars.
Right.
Now, if a person owns an airplane and they put their car in that hangar and they get in their airplane, take off for a few days, that's one thing. But just to store vehicles in it is something else. So the airport board was working on those issues, and I was proud to see that. Thank you.
That's great. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns? Do we need action on,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement, and if you guys want to do away with the snail mail out of it, I can go for that. We give it a try. I don't know how the board's gonna react, but.
Well, we have a meeting on Tuesday,
That's
so
correct, yeah.
either way,
So I'll make a
increase the
motion
time,
to
but I
approve
would,
the agreement as written with removing the snail mail out of the agreement.
okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Anything from the public? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? And that motion carries.
and just to give you a little further information, there's 11 hangars out there now. Coming probably June, July, we're gonna start construction on 3 more hangars in an office building. And then we are already have been granted the money to start another set of hangars, which I believe is maybe 2 years out. But we have a lot of stuff going on at the airport. We have this taxiway project. We have both of these hangar projects. We have a whole resurface of the runway.
You got a complete resurfacing of.
So these projects are awarded 5 years ahead of time. So we've got projects coming for years.
Okay.
And it's good to get this paperwork under control now before it gets even busier.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're moving on to old business. Item number 1 is discussion and possible action concerning the lease renewal for Martin Marine at 247 John McInnes Way. From what I understand, Mr. Ben Baruch has decided to cancel his request and continue on with the lease as written for now?
For now, yes.
Okay.
So he would be entering his first of the
Renewal.
2-year.
First of the 2-year renewal terms, yep. And what my impression is, from talking to him a couple times, is that he'll be in touch with us 6 months, about 18 months
Prior
from
to
now,
the end of the
try and
2-year.
To really re-engage on what we were talking about at the last meeting.
And that'll give us plenty of time to do our research and decide what we want.
I like it.
My opinion there, Mr. Attorney, is that's kind of twofold. If Mr. Baruch does not contact us, we should stay on top of it because we have some things that we would like to discuss. I think we do anyway. And we need to, if we hadn't heard from him, we need to initiate that. That's 6 months ahead of schedule.
Yes, we always have, he's got a thriving business out there now, so that's great. And the idea was on this lease, if there's currently built-in 6-month notice that we could provide if the city had a different use for that building. But again, with nothing on the table, we can always re-engage with him.
But at that 6-month mark,
that
we couldn't
6-month
go and
mark.
raise the rent or something like
No,
that. It
no,
would
he-
just be.
He has, the lease speaks for itself on that, right? So that's
Exactly.
the next-
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, the point is, we need to be engaged with him, whether we initiate it or he initiates it 6 months prior to the end of this next 2-year lease.
Let's mark our calendars.
Yep.
Marked.
Yes, marked. Yeah.
All right. before we adjourn, is there anything else anyone would like to say this evening? Or bring
Great
to our
job, Mayor.
attention? Thank you. All right, thank you guys very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.